Hello, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to quickly and efficiently monitor growth for reading and math tests in AWARE. We're going to be comparing these end of unit assessments for our students to their previous STAAR test. So this video really only applies to grades 4 through 8 reading and math teachers, Algebra I and English 2 teachers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, as a teacher of record, drill down under all my students, or if you have campus administrator access, then you would drill down under quick views. I'm going to find my end of unit assessment folder. If you're elementary, you can click on the district end of unit assessments, or if you're a secondary campus, you can click on your campus end of unit assessment folder or your campus team folder and find it there if you're writing common summative assessments there. Once I've opened up my assessment, I'm going to come up to the Quick Views drop-down menu, and I am going to be looking for one of these two growth tools. Since I've opened up a math end of unit assessment, then I'm going to use the growth tool Math STAAR 2021, or if I was using a reading end of unit assessment, I would do the growth tool Reading STAAR 2021. When I do that, I'm going to get this campus summary, and I'm just going to switch to where they are now, make sure that I'm capturing the students that currently are on my campus that took this particular assessment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first look at the total students that I had that took this test. I had 36 students who took this test. Last year, 15 of them did not meet expectations on the STAAR 2021. 3 of them were in the math approaches, and 5 of them were in meets, and 3 of them were actually at the master's level. So that lets you know that, of course, there are students currently on your campus who did not take the STAAR test last year. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to start looking at my master's row. I like to do that just because that's often a group that we tend to not spend as much time on, often because, you know, they tend to do very well on our assessments. So let me think about this. Last year, 3 kids were at the master's level. And what I want to do is I want to go all the way across and see if those 3 kids are still at the master's level, and they are. Now the reason you're seeing 3 at meets and 3 at approaches is because of the way that we report approaches, meets, and masters. These numbers mean 3 in the approaches or higher, 3 in the meets or higher. But when you start looking at the masters list, you know that those 3 are in the masters category. And that means that, you know, that's great. The 3 that were at Masters last year are still at Masters. That's what I want to see. Now, last year I had 5 at the meets level. And what I want to do is I want to come over and see that, 4 of them actually got all the way up to Masters. That is a huge celebration. Those 4 students are doing better than they did on the STAAR test last year. Congratulations to them and to me as their teacher. Now, it's saying 4 here in meets, but remember that's meets or higher. And I know those 4 students are in the master's bucket, and 4 here in the approaches. Again, that means that it's still these same 4 that were up in the master's bucket. And so if I look at that, I think, well, what happened to that one other kid? There's one kid who's not in approaches, meets, or masters, which means that that student did not meet expectations. So I want to know a little bit more about who that one kid is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click right here on my math meets group. And it's going to take a second, and then I'm going to be able to find, especially if I color code, I'll be able to find, here's my student who did not pass. Did not even pass this test, but last year was a meets level student on 4th grade math. So I want to dig a little bit more deeply into who that student is and what is their, what's the gap that's beginning to develop for this student, because they are in severe danger if nothing is done to address this, that they will not, that he or she will not be making growth on the STAAR test at the end of this year. Now to go back, I'm going to click my little green arrow, and that's going to take you back to your original view. And I continue the same process for my approaches students. Last year I had 3 students who were approaches on the Math STAAR test, and I can see that, one of them got all the way up to meet masters. Congratulations to that student. That's awesome. Now we know that there's not one student in meets, because this is meets or masters, and that student is here in masters. 2 students are at approaches, meets, or masters. Well, I know one of them's in masters, so then that means one of them is in approaches, and that's good. He or she was at approaches before, and now they're still at approaches. But I know that since 2 were in approaches or above and there were 3 students, that means that one of those students fell back and did not meet for this assessment. And so I want to double click on this list again and find out who that student is. I also want to celebrate that student that got all the way up to the master's level, even though he or she was only performing at approaches last year. And again, I click back on my green arrow. Now let's look at our students who did not meet expectations last year on the STAAR test, and there were 15 of them. Again, I'm going to go all the way over to my master's, and I'm going to see that 4 of them, holy cow, 4 of them who did not even meet expectations on 4th grade math STAAR got up to the master's level for this particular unit assessment. I want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate these students, and I want to talk, if I'm an administrator, I want to talk to that teacher and try to figure out exactly what that teacher did with these 4 students to get them all the way up to a much higher level than they were performing at before. Then I can look at my meet students. 7 or higher are 7 are meets or masters. So 4 of them were masters, so that means 3 of them are at meets. Again, that's a huge celebration. These are students who didn't even pass 4th grade math STAAR. Now again, there's 4 here, there's 3 here, 10 are at approaches or higher. So we can just kind of subtract these 2 right here, and I see that 3 of them actually passed this test, even though they didn't meet expectations for 4th grade STAAR. Again, huge celebration, and I want to dive a little bit more deeply into those students, and then I can see that there were 15 students and 10 of them passed, so I can try to figure out, well, who are those 5 students who are still not meeting expectations, again by double clicking on my group, color coding, and then I can sort by their percent score to be able to easily, quickly identify, here are my students who still didn't pass, here are my students who are at approaches, here are my students who are at meets, and here are my holy cow celebration students at masters. So I hope you find this quick view helpful and useful as you are trying to celebrate growth and then dive a little bit more deeply and plan for students who are not performing as well as they did on the STAAR 2021.